Om Sai Ram, Shri Sai Satcharitra, chapter 16 and 17. Quick Brahma Gnyan. These two chapters relate the story of a rich gentleman who wanted Brahma Gnyan quickly from Sai Baba. Preliminary. The last chapter described how Mr. Chulkar's vow of small offering was completed and accepted. In that story, Sai Baba showed that he would accept with appreciation any small thing offered with love and devotion. But if the same thing was offered with pride and haughtiness, he would reject it. Being himself full of Sat Chit Anand, pure consciousness, knowledge, and bliss, he did not care much for mere outward formalities, but if an offering was made in modest and humble spirit, the same was welcome, and he accepted it with pleasure and avidity. In fact, there is no person more generous and benevolent than a Sadguru like Sai Baba. He cannot be compared to the Chintamani jewel, the Kalpataru, the celestial tree which fulfills our desires, or the Kamadhenu, the celestial cow which yields what we desire. They give us only that what we desire, but the Sadguru gives us the most precious thing, that is inconceivable and inscrutable, the reality. Now let us hear how Sai Baba disposed a rich man who came to him and implored him to give him Brahma Gnana. There was a rich gentleman, unfortunately his name and whereabouts are not mentioned, who was very prosperous in his life. He had amassed a large quantity of wealth, houses and lands, and had many servants and dependents. When Baba's fame reached his ears, he said to a friend of his that he was not wanting anything, and so he would go to Shirdi and ask Baba to give him Brahma Gyan, which if he got would certainly make him more happy. His friend dissuaded him, saying it is not easy to know Brahma, and especially so for an avaricious man like you, who is always engrossed in wealth, wife, children. Who will in your quest for Brahma Gyan satisfy you, the one who does not give away even a paisa in charity? Not minding his friend's advice, the fellow engaged a return journey, Tonga, and came to Shirdi. He went to the masjid and saw Sai Baba, fell at his feet and said, Baba, hearing that you show Brahma Gnyan to all who come to you, I too have come here all the way from my distant place. I am very much fatigued by the journey, and if I get the Brahma Gnana from you, my troubles will be well paid and rewarded. Baba then said, Oh my dear friend, do not be anxious. I shall show you the Brahma. Many people come to me and ask for wealth, health, power, honor, position, cure of diseases, and other temporal matters. Rare is a person who comes to me and asks for Brahma Gnana. There is no dearth for persons asking for worldly things, but persons interested in spiritual matters are very rare, I think. And it is a fortunate and auspicious moment when persons like you come and ask me for Brahma Gnana. So forthwith, I show you with pleasure the Brahman, with all its accompaniments and complexities. Saying this, Baba started to show him the Brahma. He made him sit there and engage him in some other talk, and thus he made him forget his question for the time being. Then he called the boy and told him to go to one Mr. Nandu Marwadi and get from him a loan of rupees 5. The boy left and returned immediately, saying that Nandu was absent and his house was locked. Then Baba asked him to go to Bala Grocer and get from him the said loan. This time also the boy was unsuccessful. This experiment was repeated again twice or thrice with the same result. Sai Baba was, as we know, the living and moving Brahman himself, the incarnate God incarnate. Then someone may ask, why did he want a paltry sum of 5 rupees, and why did he try hard to get it? Really, he did not want this sum at all. He must have been fully knowing that Nandu and Bala were absent. and he seemed to have adopted his procedure as a test for the seeker of Brahman. That gentleman had a roll or bundle of currencies in his pocket, and if he was really earnest, he would not have sat quiet and be an onlooker when Baba was frantically trying to get the paltry sum of rupees 5. He knew that Baba would keep his word and repay the debt, and that the sum wanted was very insignificant. Still, he could not make up his mind and advance the sum. Such a man wanted from Baba the greatest thing in the world, the Brahma Gnyanam. Any other man who really loved Baba would have given him this 5 rupees at once, instead of being a mere onlooker. It was otherwise with this man. He advanced no money, nor did he sit silent, but began to be impatient as he was in a haste. He wanted to return, and so he implored Baba, saying, "Oh Baba, please give me Brahma Jnana soon." Baba replied, "Oh my dear friend, did you not understand all the procedure that I went through sitting in this place for enabling you to see the Brahma Jnana? It is in short this. For seeing Brahman, one has to give 5 things, surrender 5 things, 5 pranas, the vital forces, 5 senses, mind, intellect and ego. This path of Brahma Jnana, of self-realization, is as hard as to tread on the edge of a razor." Sai Baba then gave a rather long discourse on the subject, the purpose of which is given below. Qualifications for Brahma Jnana or self-realization. All persons do not see or realize the Brahman in their lifetime. Certain qualifications are absolutely necessary. The first being mumukshu, or an intense desire to set free. He who thinks that he is born and that he should get free from the bondage and work earnestly and resolutely to end and do not care for any other thing is qualified for the spiritual life. The second is virakti, or a feeling of non-attachment with the things of this world and the next. Unless a man feels disgusted with the things, emoluments, honors, which his action would bring in this world and the next, he has no right to enter into the spiritual realm. Third is antarmukha, or introspection. Our senses have to be created by God with a tendency to move outward. So man always looks outward and not inward. He who wants self-realization and immortal life must turn his gaze inward and look to his inner self. Fourth, cateresis, eliminating all base ideas and emotions. Unless a man has turned away from the wickedness and stopped from doing wrong and has entirely composed himself, and unless his mind is at rest, he cannot gain self-realization even by means of knowledge. Fifth, right conduct. Unless a man leads a life of truth, penance and insight, a life of celibacy, he cannot get God vision. Sixth, preferring shreyas, which is good, to preyas, that is pleasant. There are 2 sorts of things, the good and the pleasant. The former deals with spiritual affairs and the latter with the mundane matters. Both these are open to man for acceptance. He has to think and choose one of them. The wise man prefers the good to the pleasant, but the unwise, through greed and attachment, chooses the pleasant. 7th one is control of mind and senses. The body is the chariot and the self is the master. Intellect is the charioteer and mind is the reins. The senses are the horses and the sense objects are their paths. He who has no understanding and whose mind is unrestrained has his senses unmanageable, like the stray horse of a charioteer, does not reach its destination, that is getting self-realization, but goes through the round of births and deaths. But he who has understanding and whose mind is restrained and his senses under control, like the good obedient horse of a charioteer, reaches the destination, the state of self-realization, when he is not born again. The man who has understanding of his charioteer, guide, and is able to rein his mind reaches the end journey, which is supreme abode of the all-pervading Lord Vishnu. 8 is purification of mind. Unless a man discharges satisfactorily and disinterestedly the duties of his station in life, his mind will not be purified, and unless his mind is purified, he cannot get self-realization. It is only in the purified mind that Vivek, disattachment to the unreal, crop up and lead on to self-realization. Unless egoism is dropped, avarice got rid of, and mind made desireless, self-realization is not possible. The idea that I am body is a great delusion, and attachment to this idea is a cause for bondage. Leave off this idea and attachment, therefore, if you want to reach the goal of self-realization. 9 is the necessity of a guru. The knowledge of self is so subtle and mystic that no one could, by his own individual effort, ever hope to attain it. So, the help of another person, a teacher, who has himself got self-realization is absolutely necessary. What others cannot give with great effort and pains can be easily gained with the help of such a teacher, for he has walked on the path himself and can easily take the disciple step by step on the ladder of spiritual progress. 10th and lastly, the Lord's grace is the most essential thing. When the Lord is pleased with anybody, he gives him viveka and vairagya and takes him safe beyond the ocean of mundane existence. The self cannot be gained by the study of Vedas, nor by intellect, nor by learning. He whom the self chooses gains it. To him the self reveals its nature, says the Katha Upanishad. After the dissertation was over, Baba turned to the gentleman and said, "Well, sir, there is in your pocket the Brahman in the form of 50 times of 5. Rupees 250 rupees. Please take them out." The gentleman took out from his pocket the bundle of currencies, and to his greatest surprise found on counting them that they were 25 notes of 10 rupees each. Seeing this omisance of Baba, he was moved and fell at Baba's feet and craved for his blessing. Then Baba said to him, "Roll up your bundle of Brahman, currency notes. Unless you completely get rid of this avarice or greed, you will not get the real Brahman. How can he whose mind is engrossed in wealth, progeny, prosperity, expect to know the Brahman without removing his attachment from them? The illusion of attachment or the love for money is deep, edgy, a whirlpool of pain, full of crocodiles in the form of conceit and jealousy. He who is desireless can alone cross the whirlpool. Greed and Brahman are ascender as poles. They are eternally opposed to each other. Where there is greed, there is no room for thought or meditation of the Brahman. Then how can a greedy man get dispensation and salvation? For a greedy man there is no peace, neither contentment nor steadiness. If there be even a little trace of greed in mind, all the sadhanas, spiritual endeavors are of no avail. Even the knowledge of a well-read man, who is not free from desire of the fruit or reward of his action, is futile and can't help him in getting self-realization. The teachings of the Guru are of no use to a man who is full of egoism and who always thinks about sense objects. Purification of mind is absolutely necessary. Without it, all our spiritual endeavors are nothing but useless show and pomp. It is therefore better for one to take only what he can digest and assimilate. My treasury is full. I can give anyone what he wants, but I have to see whether he is qualified to receive my gift. If you listen to me carefully, you will be certainly benefited. While sitting in this masjid, I never speak an untruth. When a guest is invited to a house, all the members of the household and other friends and relations that happen to be present are entertained along with the guest. So all those that were present in the masjid at that time could partake of the spiritual feast that was served by Baba for the rich gentleman. After getting Baba's blessing, one and all, including the gentleman, left the place quite happy and contented. There are many saints who, leaving their houses, stay in forests, caves, and hermitages and in solitude in order to get liberation or salvation for themselves. They do not care for other people or always are self absorbed. Sai Baba was not of such a type. He had no house, no wife, no progeny, nor any relations near or distant. Still, he lived in this world, this society. He begged his bread from 4 to 5 houses, always lived at the foot of the neem tree, carried on worldly dealings, and taught all the people how to act and behave living in this world. Rare are the sadhus and saints who, after attaining God vision, strive for the welfare of the people. Sai Baba was the foremost of this, and therefore says Hemant Pant, blessed is the country, blessed is the family, blessed are the chaste parents, where this extraordinary, transcendent, precious, and pure jewel Sai was born. Bow to Shri Sai. Peace be to all.